the cinema camera, production camera 4K, studio camera, pocket cinema camera, URSA. Hi, welcome back to Film Live. We're here in Las Vegas and that can only mean one thing. It's NAB 2014 and a whole range of new cameras that have been announced. First out the gate is Blackmagic. Last couple of years Blackmagic have arguably stole the show, first with the cinema camera, then the production camera 4K. Whilst these are fantastic cameras, there's obviously been a demand for cameras that can operate in, let's say, a more professional environment. This year Blackmagic have surprised us again with the URSA. Here to tell us all about it is Simon Westland.
URSA actually was a trademark of Sintel. And you may recall we bought Sintel, the film scanning company, about 18 months ago. And actually, decades ago, URSA was a really common name in terms of one of the Sintel scanning products. And it was a name we liked. We just thought it fitted the camera, and we thought that, you know, digital film cameras, digital film in the past, it just had a nice link. So there was nothing kind of too scientific in its selection, other than we felt it was a nice brand name for the product. Initially, when we developed the 2.5K cinema camera, we never envisaged that camera would be built into large-scale production rigs. And all of a sudden, we're seeing, you know, the matte box rails, we're seeing the follow focus, we're seeing the XLR audio connectors, the professional battery packs, and what we thought was quite a sort of intimate camera that people would pick up and take and shoot anywhere with, was becoming this full-size production camera. And really, that was what led us to URSA as a camera, because this is a full-size production camera with all of those features built into the camera body. So you get all of the professional audio connections, the phantom-powered XLRs for plugging in external audio. You've got 4-pin professional power connection. You've got all the SDI connections on the camera. You'll see there's a professional battery pack on the back. We don't supply the camera with the battery plate. You choose that depending on what batteries you already have. So if it's IDX or PAG or Anton Bauer, you just choose the appropriate plate for the batteries that you're working with. One of the really, really clever parts, I think, in the design of URSA is that the mount and the sensor are both contained within this front turret, and that's connected to the camera with 4 bolts. Now what that means is that whole unit can be unscrewed, removed and swapped for another mount and another sensor. So initially we're going to release this camera as an EF version and as a PL version, $6,000 on the EF, $6,500 on the PL. But in the future, we're already working on a broadcast B4 mount, so you could use ENG type lenses on this camera. We're also going to supply the camera without a mount and without a sensor, and just put a cheese plate on the front with an HDMI in. So silly as it might sound, you could mount any other camera that you might already have, a DSLR or anything else, to the front of this body and get the benefits that the body offers you. So the professional audio metering, all of the scopes that are on the camera, the recording capabilities, all of the features of the camera would be accessible to a different camera that you bolted right on the front. So this is packed with the professional features that people were adding on as accessories to the cinema camera. So I think when you look at the whole range, you've got pocket cinema camera, very small, designed to be taken everywhere, the 2.5, we've obviously got URSA, we've announced at the show the new studio cameras as well, so there now really is a camera to suit the type of work that you're doing. So when we look at the camera in a bit more detail, it's 35mm, global shutter. I've already explained that there's different mounts going to be available for the camera. One of the things that you see is it's a camera that actually includes 3 LCDs within its design. And the reason it does that is that looking at the way that people use the cameras, this is going to be seldom used by one individual. In a professional production environment, you tend to get a team of people working on that production. So as we approach the camera from this side, you may have the audio engineer working in this area of the camera. We've built in peaking meters. You may not see that in vision now, but if I clap here, then you can see the peaks on that audio simply by glancing down on the side. So we've got level control, we've got very visible LED level metering on the side. So we're going to have our audio engineer work in this area of the camera. We may have a camera assistant that's entering information into the slate or going into the menus and making changes to different formats and selections and everything else. So we could have a camera assistant working on this side with access to all of those menus, or they could take it into display mode if they wanted to and just look at picture. It's not a very interesting wall that we're looking at there, but they've got all of the facilities on that screen. When we then turn the camera around, on this side, the DOP has the access to the same set of menus on this side of the camera, and this is all touchscreen. So this is like the 2.5K cinema camera. But also, they've got a huge 10-inch display, which is beautiful. I mean, which tilts, so if you're using the camera up high, you could tilt it to look upwards at. You can sort of angle it in so that you've got a better view, so if you stood behind it. I mean, this is just super. I mean, it really is a huge viewfinder to have on a camera. If the DOP decided that they wanted an additional viewfinder, there's even some clever things in here where we've got an additional 3 gig SDI out and a 4-pin power connector, so you could mount an additional viewfinder on the top of the camera. So we've really kind of thought about the way that people will work with a camera like this, how they'll work and they'll move around it, the kind of features that they're going to want from it, and we've tried to get those all into a full-size professional body. Liquid cooled, do 60 frames a second right now, but it's capable of doing in excess of 100 frames a second because of the design of the body. I mean, no one ever sets out to miss a shipping date, and it makes us as unhappy as anybody else. I think we've learned some things. I think this has been a steep learning curve over the first couple of years of all the cameras that we've introduced. And I think we proved some of that learning in the fact that the new studio camera that we've announced is shipping now. So on the studio cam, we've got the HD model out of the door straight away. So we have learned some things in that. I also think because obviously we're familiar with the sensor that's in this first model of the camera, that shortens down the development time. You can see already the advancements in that design, and that's pretty much nailed down. What you see there is going to be the unit that ships. We're pretty confident we're going to hit a July date. The challenge of that is you can never expect the unexpected of what may happen between now and then. But we hope that we won't face some of the delays that we have done on previous occasions.